When Ayesha Curry found bank statements revealing secret transfers of millions of dollars, her world collapsed. The husband she had known for 15 years was hiding something big. The truth behind this secret would forever change what she thought about Steph. The San Francisco sun streamed through the wide windows of the Curry residence, illuminating the elegant office where Ayesha was organizing documents on a Wednesday afternoon. The house was momentarily silent, the children at school and Steph at a Warriors practice. It was one of those rare moments of peace that Ayesha treasured, taking advantage to put the family finances in order before the usual chaos of daily life returned. Seated in the comfortable leather chair behind the oak desk, Ayesha methodically separated bank statements, receipts, and documents that needed to be filed. Always organized, she liked to maintain control over the family finances, despite the complexity that came with her husband's fortune and fame. It was, then, that her fingers touched an envelope she didn't recognize. Navy blue, with the discreet logo of a bank that wasn't the family's usual one. Frowning with slight curiosity, she opened it, assuming it was just another investment that Steph had made. What she saw left her momentarily breathless. It was a statement detailing monthly transfers of a significant amount, $75,000, to an account identified only as Horizon Foundation. The transfers occurred on the 20th of each month, religiously, for more than 3 years. They began exactly 3 months after Cannon's birth, the couple's youngest. "What is this?" she murmured to herself, mentally calculating the total. More than $2.7 million over 3 years. It wasn't an amount that would shake the Currys' finances, considering Steph's multi-million-dollar contracts and Ayesha's successful ventures, but still, it was enough money to deserve mention. Ayesha took a deep breath, trying to control the whirlwind of thoughts. 15 years of marriage, 3 children, and countless ups and downs overcome together. Trust had always been the foundation of their relationship. Why would Steph maintain a secret account? There must be a logical explanation, she said to herself, carefully storing the statement in her purse. Maybe it's a surprise, or an investment he forgot to mention. But that night, watching Steph play with Cannon on the living room carpet, while the girls did homework at the table, Ayesha couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, especially when she noticed her husband discreetly checking his cell phone several times, his forehead creased with worry after reading a message. During dinner, Riley, the eldest daughter, now 12 years old, asked excitedly, "Can we go to Golden Gate Park on Saturday? The new butterfly exhibit is there." Steph, who was normally the first to get excited about family activities, responded distractedly, "Saturday won't work, princess. I have an important commitment." Ayesha looked up from her plate. "Commitment? There's nothing on our shared calendar." For a brief moment, something resembling panic crossed Steph's eyes. "It's a last-minute meeting with sponsors. I forgot to add it." Ryan, the middle daughter, looked disappointed. "You always have meetings on weekends now, Daddy." The child's innocent observation fell like a stone in Ayesha's stomach. It was true. In recent months, Steph had been absent on several Saturdays, always with vague explanations about commitments or meetings. After the children went to bed, Ayesha found Steph in the closet, changing clothes. "Steph," she began, trying to keep her voice casual. "This Saturday meeting, it's with which sponsors?" He hesitated for a fraction of a second longer than he should have. "Under Armour. We're discussing the next line of shoes." "How strange," Ayesha replied, carefully observing his reaction. "I spoke with Rebecca from your marketing team yesterday, and she didn't mention anything about a weekend meeting." Steph became visibly tense. "It's because it's confidential." a new product we're developing." He approached, kissing her forehead. "Don't worry, it's just work. I'll make it up to the children on Sunday, I promise." Later, while Steph slept, Ayesha couldn't resist the impulse to check his cell phone. The password remained the same: Riley's birthday. One of the recent messages was from a contact saved only as DM, saying, "Everything confirmed for Saturday. Dr. Martins will be there at 10 a.m. Bring the signed documents." Ayesha felt a knot in her throat. Who was this Dr. Martins? And what documents were those? The next morning, while preparing breakfast for the children, Ayesha found a receipt that had fallen from Steph's coat pocket. It was from a hotel in Oakland, dated 2 weeks ago, a day when Steph was supposedly at an extended practice. Ayesha's world was beginning to crumble. 15 years of trust threatened by secrets and lies. As she watched her husband kiss the children before leaving for practice, she made a decision. She needed to discover the truth, no matter how painful it was. Thursday morning dawned with a thick fog covering San Francisco Bay, as if the weather itself reflected Ayesha's mental confusion. As she drove to the previously scheduled lunch with Sonia, her mother-in-law, she mentally rehearsed how to probe for information without raising suspicion. The Chosen restaurant was one of Sonia's favorites, a small Italian bistro in Nob Hill with a view of the city. When Ayesha arrived, Sonia was already there, elegant as always, with a warm smile that reminded her so much of Steph. "Dear, you look tired," Sonia observed after the initial hugs. "Is everything all right?" Ayesha forced a smile. "Just the usual. The children, my projects, Steph's crazy schedule." "Speaking of him," Sonia commented while they studied the menu, "Dell and I are so proud of his new project. We always knew Steph had a huge heart. But this is special." Ayesha's heart raced. "New project?" "Oh," Sonia seemed momentarily confused. "I thought that—" "Well, he mentioned he was working on something important, something beyond basketball. He didn't go into details, but he seemed extremely dedicated. I thought you knew." "Of course," Ayesha replied quickly. "I just wasn't sure which project you were referring to." "He has so many?" She took a sip of water, trying to disguise her surprise. "Do you know if this has anything to do with something called Horizon Foundation?" Sonia shook her head. "I don't remember that name, but you know how Curry men are. When they commit to something, they give 110% of themselves. Sometimes they forget to share the details with the rest of us." After lunch, instead of going home, Ayesha made an impulsive decision. She drove to the Warriors Training Center in Oakland. It wasn't uncommon for wives to appear for a quick visit, and she frequently brought the children to see their father practice. The security guard recognized her immediately. "Mrs. Curry, Steph should be finishing practice now." She smiled, trying to appear casual. "I didn't come to see him, actually. I forgot to get some things from his locker for an interview I have tomorrow." Inside the complex, Ayesha walked through the familiar corridors until she heard Steph's voice. He was in a side corridor, talking in a low voice with Andre Iguodala, his close friend and former teammate. "I can't keep hiding this from her, Dre. I'm feeling terrible about all these lies," Steph was saying, appearing distressed. "You're doing the right thing, man," Andre replied. "Sometimes we need to protect the people we love, even if it means—" Andre stopped abruptly upon spotting Ayesha. Both men looked like they had seen a ghost. "Ayesha!" Steph recovered first, hugging her with exaggerated enthusiasm. "What a surprise! Are the children with you?" "No, I came alone. I needed to get those documents for tomorrow's interview." The lie came out more easily than she expected. Andre cleared his throat uncomfortably. Well, I'll let you two talk. Steph, think about what I said about that place in Oakland. It's doing incredible work there. Steph shot a warning look at his friend, who quickly walked away. What place in Oakland? Ayesha asked innocently. Nothing important, Steph replied too quickly. Just a possible venue for a charity event. 2 days later, Ayesha accompanied Steph to an NBA charity event. She observed when her husband was approached by a middle-aged woman with a professional appearance, with whom he conversed animatedly for several minutes in a reserved corner. When Ayesha approached, the two stopped talking abruptly. Ah, dear, Steph said, seeming slightly uncomfortable. This is Dr. Martins, a consultant who is helping me with a project. The woman extended her hand with a polite smile. It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Mrs. Curry. Your husband speaks about you a lot. Curious, Ayesha replied with a forced smile. He never mentioned you. An awkward silence followed, until Dr. Martins looked at her watch. Well, I need to go. Steph, we'll talk on Saturday then? Yes, I'll be there at 10 a.m., he confirmed, avoiding Ayesha's gaze. When the woman walked away, Ayesha turned to her husband. So, your Saturday meeting is with her? I thought it was with Under Armour. Steph ran his hand over, his face visibly tense. It's complicated, Ayesha. I promise I'll explain everything. But now isn't the right time. When will be the right time, Steph? When you've spent all our millions on something I can't even know what it is? He stared at her, surprised. What are you talking about? About Horizon Foundation, she replied, observing his reaction. About the monthly transfers, about the hotel in Oakland, about the lies, Steph. His face paled. You've been spying on me? I didn't need to spy. You left traces everywhere. I thought we trusted each other. Steph looked around, conscious that they were at a public event. Can we talk about this at home, please? But the conversation at home was equally frustrating. Steph insisted he wasn't doing anything wrong, but refused to give details. I just need you to trust me, he pleaded. It's not what you're thinking. How can I trust when you're clearly hiding something? Ayesha shot back, tears of frustration in her eyes. I need to know the truth, Steph. And you will know. I just need a little more time. That night, for the first time in years, they slept in separate rooms. Lying in the guest bed, Ayesha made a decision. If Steph wouldn't tell the truth, she would discover it on her own. The next morning, while Steph left for a business commitment, Ayesha hired a private driver, asking him to discreetly follow her husband. A few hours later, she received a message with an address in East Oakland, far from any corporate, office, or sports facility. That same afternoon, while searching for more clues in the office, Ayesha found an envelope hidden among the books on the shelf. Inside was a letter on letterhead from Horizon Foundation, with Steph's signature authorizing an additional transfer of $250,000 for specialized medical equipment. Medical equipment? What was Steph hiding? The answer, she knew, was at that address in Oakland. The sky was cloudy when Ayesha drove to East Oakland. On Saturday morning, the GPS guided her through streets that gradually became less affluent, far from the areas she normally frequented. Finally, she arrived at the address, a 2-story building, recently renovated, with a small parking lot in front. A discreet sign at the entrance said, Horizon Center. Below, in smaller letters, Support for youth with chronic diseases and their families. Ayesha remained in the car for a few minutes, observing. She saw families entering and leaving, children of different ages, some in wheelchairs, others with assistive devices. Most seem to come from low-income families, judging by their clothes and cars. Her heart was beating hard as she tried to process what she was seeing. A medical center? Was this what Steph was spending so much money on in secret? Gathering courage, she got out of the car and walked to the entrance. The interior was surprisingly welcoming. Walls painted in vibrant colors, cheerful murals, a small reception area with toys and books. Nothing ostentatious, but everything of good quality and well cared for. A woman of about 40 years old, with a badge identifying her as Maria Coordinator, approached smiling. "Hello? Can I help you?" Ayesha hesitated for a moment. "I was passing by and became curious about this place. What exactly do you do here?" Maria's face lit up. Horizon Center is a support space for children and adolescents with chronic diseases, especially rare conditions. We offer everything from complimentary medical support to recreational activities and psychological support for families. "It sounds like incredible work," Ayesha commented, looking around. "How are you funded?" "Mainly by an anonymous benefactor," Maria replied. "Someone very generous, who not only supports us financially, but also gets personally involved with our children. It's rare to find someone who donates so much money and also donates their time." Ayesha felt a knot in her throat. This benefactor, does he come here frequently? "At least once a week. The children adore him. He has a special gift with them. You know, he lost someone close to a rare disease when he was young, so this is very personal for him." The information caught Ayesha by surprise. As far as she knew, no one in Steph's family had died from a rare disease. "Do you accept volunteers?" Ayesha asked, seeking an excuse to stay and investigate more. "Of course. Actually, we're having an event right now in the recreation room. Why don't you take a look? It might give you a better idea of our work." Maria led Ayesha down a corridor to a large room at the back of the building. There, about 15 children, some visibly ill, participated in an art activity. A young woman circulated among them, helping and encouraging. "This is Keisha, our art therapist," Maria explained. "And that's Tyler's mother, helping today." Ayesha approached the mentioned mother, an African-American woman of about 30 years old, who was helping a boy of approximately 8 years old hold a brush. The boy had evident motor difficulties, but his eyes shone with concentration. "Your son?" Ayesha asked gently. The woman nodded. "Tyler. He has the same condition that killed Mr. C's cousin. Batten syndrome. Extremely rare." She lowered her voice. "Before we found this place, doctors gave Tyler at most 2 years to live. Now, thanks to the experimental program that Mr. C finances, Tyler is responding to treatment. He's been with us for almost 3 years since the diagnosis." "Mr. C?" Ayesha asked, feeling her heart accelerate. "That's what we call our guardian angel," the mother explained with a smile. "He prefers to remain anonymous, but without him, well, many of these children wouldn't be here today." While the mother returned her attention to Tyler, Ayesha continued exploring the center, finding a small room with a mural of photos. "Our Warriors," the title said, showing dozens of smiling children, some clearly in medical treatment, others celebrating milestones like 6 months without hospitalization or remission. In one of the photos in the corner, partially hidden, Ayesha recognized Steph. He was sitting on the floor, playing table basketball with children in wheelchairs. His face was radiant, with an expression she recognized well, the same one he had when playing with his own children. The date in the corner of the photo was from 2 months ago. "He's incredible with them," said a voice behind her. Ayesha turned, quickly, finding herself face to face with Dr. Martins from the event. "Mrs. Curry," the doctor said, visibly surprised and uncomfortable. "I didn't expect to see you here today." "I imagine not," Ayesha replied. "Just as I didn't expect to discover that my husband has an entire secret life he never told me about." Dr. Martins sighed, looking around to make sure no one was listening. "He wanted to tell you, many times, but this place is special to him in a way that few people understand." "I'm his wife," Ayesha said, fighting back tears. "We share everything." "Not always," the doctor replied softly. "Some pains are so deep they become part of who we are." Steph asked for absolute secrecy about his involvement. He didn't want to turn this place into a tourist attraction or a public relations project. Here, he's not Steph Curry, NBA superstar. He's just Mr. C, someone these children can count on. Before Ayesha could respond, she heard a commotion at the entrance. It was the scheduled time for Steph's visit. Quickly, she said goodbye to the doctor and left through a side door, not ready to confront him there in the middle of the children. That night, Ayesha returned home with her mind full of new questions. While Steph was out with the children for a scheduled movie, she went to his closet, searching in an old box she knew contained memories from his childhood and adolescence. At the bottom of the box, among youth basketball trophies and college acceptance letters, she found a yellowed envelope. Inside was a photo. Teenage Steph, maybe 14 years old, hugging a younger boy in a hospital bed. The boy was visibly ill, extremely thin, but smiled with his eyes. On the back of the photo, a date from 17 years ago and a simple inscription: Jason, forever 11 years old. Ayesha sat on the edge of the bed, holding the photo with trembling hands. Who was Jason? And why had Steph never mentioned his name in all these years? The house was quiet when Steph returned with the children. Ayesha heard the animated voices of Riley and Ryan talking about the movie, while Cannon, sleepy, asked for Daddy's lap. She waited patiently for Steph to put the children to bed, her heart heavy with all the day's discoveries. When he finally entered the room, he found Ayesha sitting in the chair by the window, Jason's photo in her hands. Steph's expression changed instantly, a mixture of shock and resignation taking over his face. "Where did you find that?" he asked quietly, approaching slowly. "In your memory box," Ayesha replied. "I was at Horizon Center today, Steph. I saw what you built there." Steph sat on the edge of the bed, facing her, suddenly appearing exhausted. For several moments, only silence filled the space between them. "Who is Jason?" Ayesha finally asked. Steph took a deep breath, running his hand over his face. "My second cousin, son of Uncle Robert. My mother's brother who moved to Charlotte when we were children." "You never talked about him." "No," Steph admitted. "I haven't talked about Jason for a long time." He took the photo from Ayesha's hands, looking at the boy with an expression she had never seen before. A mixture of pain and love so deep it seemed almost physical. "For 3 consecutive summers, when I was between 11 and 14 years old, I spent weeks at Uncle Robert's house. Jason was 3 years younger than me, but we became inseparable. He followed me everywhere, wanted to do everything I did." A slight smile crossed Steph's face. It was annoying sometimes, but also special, like having a younger brother who thought you were the best. Steph stood up, walking to the window. Outside, the lights of San Francisco shone against the night sky. "The summer I turned 14, Jason started having symptoms. First, they were small things. Tripping for no reason, forgetting words, having difficulty holding objects. Then came the seizures." Steph's voice trembled slightly. He was diagnosed with Batten syndrome, a rare neurodegenerative disease. Extremely rare. Uncle Robert was a teacher. Aunt Denise worked part-time at a market. They didn't have adequate health insurance, nor resources for the experimental treatments that could have helped. In less than a year, Jason was in a wheelchair. In 18 months, he could no longer speak. I spent entire summer vacations at the hospital with him. I read stories, described basketball games, tried to make him smile. Steph turned to Ayesha, tears now flowing freely down his face. The last time I saw him, he was already very weak. He managed to hold my hand and whisper, "When you're rich and famous, Steph, help children like me." I promised I would. 3 weeks later, he passed away. Ayesha stood up, approaching to hug him. "Why did you never tell me about him?" At the beginning of our relationship, the pain was still too recent. Later, I don't know. Jason became such a private part of me, something I kept just for myself for so long. And the more time passed, the harder it became to mention that I had this cousin who meant so much to me, and that I never talked about him. Steph gently pulled away, sitting down again. When Cannon was born, I started having recurring nightmares. I dreamed of Jason asking me if I had forgotten my promise. Our son was healthy, growing strong, while so many other children. His voice failed. That's when I started researching how I could really make a difference. I discovered that Oakland had one of the highest rates of late diagnoses of rare diseases in low-income children. I found Dr. Martins, who had a small office offering subsidized diagnoses. Together, we developed the idea for Horizon Center. "Why keep it secret from me?" Ayesha asked, the hurt still present in her voice. "Why the lies, Steph?" He looked at his own hands. "At first, I just wanted it to be something personal, not related to my public image. I didn't want cameras, interviews, people visiting the center just to take selfies with Steph Curry. I wanted it to be about the children, not about me." And later, he hesitated. Later, it got complicated. I realized I was committing a significant part of our fortune without consulting you. Each month, I increased the amount, financed new treatments. I was afraid you would think I was being financially irresponsible. "How much?" Ayesha asked. "How much did you invest so far?" "Almost $5 million total," Steph admitted. Besides the monthly transfers, I financed specialized equipment, experimental medications, and recently, a partnership with researchers from UCSF to study treatments for rare neurological diseases. Ayesha shook her head, incredulous. "Did you really think I would oppose this? That I would care more about the money than about saving these children's lives?" "No," Steph replied immediately. "Of course not. But the more time passed without telling you, the harder it became to explain why I kept it secret from the beginning. I ended up trapped in my own web of secrets." A silence fell between them, less tense now, but still charged with emotion. "I want to know the center properly," Ayesha said finally. "Not as an intruder investigating, but as your partner. I want to understand this part of your life that you kept hidden for so long." The next day, a sunny Sunday, Steph took Ayesha to Horizon Center. This time she entered through the front door beside him, observing how the children received him with enthusiasm, shouting, "Mr. C!" with animated voices. Steph officially introduced her to the staff and families. "This is my wife, Ayesha. She finally knows about our little secret." Ayesha watched in amazement the transformation in her husband as he interacted with each child. Away from cameras and NBA pressure, Steph demonstrated a genuine connection with them. He knew their names, their treatments, their dreams. For these children, many fighting battles that adults could barely imagine, he wasn't the famous basketball player, but simply someone who cared. Maria, the coordinator, approached Ayesha while Steph played a board game with some children. He's incredible with them. Some of these children spend more time in hospitals than in schools. Here, for a few hours, they can just be children. A girl of approximately 8 years old, wearing a device to assist her breathing, timidly approached Ayesha with a drawing in her hands. "Are you Mr. C's wife? I made this for you both." The drawing showed Steph playing basketball with angels in clouds. Among the angels, a special boy stood out, identified as Jason. "It's Mr. C's cousin," the girl explained. "He told me about Jason. He said he takes care of all the children in heaven, especially those like me, with Batten syndrome." Ayesha felt tears burning her eyes. "It's beautiful," she said, crouching down to be at the girl's height. "What's your name?" "Lucy," the girl replied. "The doctors said I wouldn't live until 8 years old, but I had my birthday last month. Mr. C came with a giant cake. It was the best day." That night, after hours at the center meeting each child and family, Ayesha and Steph sat on the house's porch, watching the sunset over the bay. "I was thinking," Ayesha began, "maybe we could make our involvement with the center public, but in a controlled way. This could attract more donations, allow more children to be helped." Steph looked at her, surprised. "Don't you think that would turn the place into a media circus?" "Not if we do it the right way. We can control the narrative. And I have some ideas to contribute. A specialized nutritional program for children in treatment, perhaps. Many of them have specific dietary restrictions because of medications." Steph's expression softened into a smile. "It would be incredible to have you as part of this." "I just have one condition," Ayesha said, holding his hand. "No more secrets between us. We're a team, Steph. Always." 2 weeks later, Horizon Center was officially renamed Ayesha Curry Horizon Center. In a small ceremony with the families served, Steph told publicly, for the first time, the story of his cousin and the promise he had made. "Jason taught me that the time we have with the people we love is precious," he said, with Ayesha and the children by his side. "And that sometimes the biggest promises take time to be fulfilled the right way." While they watched the children playing in the newly renovated courtyard, Ayesha squeezed Steph's hand. The secret that almost destroyed their trust had transformed into a new shared mission. "Jason would be proud," she whispered. "Of both of us," Steph replied, hugging her. "Of our entire family." On the way home, Cannon asleep in the back seat, Riley asked, "Can we come back next week to play with Lucy and the others?" Steph exchanged a look with Ayesha before answering, "Of course, Princess. Horizon Center is now part of our family, too." And so, what began as a painful secret became a legacy of hope, not just for the children at the center, but for the Curry family itself, united more strongly by a shared purpose and by the memory of a boy who, even after so many years, continued making a difference.